All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of our weekly real estate backstory, where we kind of start off our week, and we hope that you will too with us. My name is Alan Richard. I'm the managing broker at Maximum Realty and Realtor Partners.
My name is Ming Richardson. I'm the compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
We also have a very special guest with us today. So Meredith, this is Meredith Jones. Now, Meredith, we have you with us today because I'm kind of giving you a lead in, and I'm kind of throwing you a softball here a little bit.
Okay.
So Meredith she's been a blessing for our company and for our agents, because she does just a ton of education and teaching and training. And in the past, we have loved working with with Jones Warren. But now Jones Warren is different now. You want to tell us about that, Miss Meredith?
Yes. So it was funny when we first went on lockdown. We thought we were going to have all this time to just sit around and do work. And probably anybody in real estate knows we all ended up being fairly busy after a couple months.
That was a joke. Yeah,
it was a joke, right? Who knew how busy we would be the rest of the year? So we decided to use that time to just rebrand the company. Nothing else changed. We're all the same people. Everything is the same, but we decided to name ourselves Ally Property Inspections. One, because that is what we want to be, is the ally to agents, but also their clients, before, during, after the transaction. I do love teaching, continuing education. So I hope I am a good ally in that way. And then also, a lot of times people didn't know we did commercial inspections. So taking the home out of our name was kind of strategic also. One of the biggest commercial inspections we did this past year was actually at Carver College. We were there several days with several inspectors. So yeah, we just tried to represent better what we do and what kind of our core values are.
Well, and I think that matches up really nice. One of the things that we love working with you guys with is that, and I'm just kind of shooting straight here. There are some inspectors in our industry that are there just to cover their butts, and so they write up a home inspection that says things like, the downspout is missing an elbow, must be repaired by a licensed, qualified, and certified home, contractor kind of stuff. And I understand, I know you guys are trying to mitigate liability too, but one of the things I like is that you guys, your inspection reports make sense. Like, these are the red flags, these are the big deals. These are just so you know. But sometimes some of our inspectors do this where everything is a priority, and then we end up losing deals, and it ends up killing deals because we scare. Right now, nearly 40% of our buyers are first-time home buyers, and they never seen an inspection report, and it just makes them wet themselves. So One of the things that we like about your company, the way that your reports are, they really make sense, because we're doing this because we want to protect our clients, but we don't need to scare them to the point where we kill deals either. Kind of thing.
That's right.
Well, unless you buy brand new, there's just no way that the house is going to be 100%. There are some deferred maintenances, and there's some maintenances that just regular of home ownership. So,
and even if you get a new house, you're
right.
going to have inspections. Now, speaking of new homes, are you guys doing a lot of new home inspections? Because we're starting to see that trend much more now. Some of the builders are difficult to work with, but what are you seeing on because we're seeing such a jump in new construction? Are you guys doing a lot of new home inspections?
We are not as many as I still think that we should be, because people see, oh, I'm going to get like a builder's warranty for a year, or maybe it's a couple years. But what we tend to tell agents, and then hopefully they can pass this on to their clients, are that sometimes the problems we find are not the ones that are obvious right away. Like, hey, you didn't realize that the builder didn't cut out the ridge vent in the roof, which is a major problem because that's all your ventilation. So 10 years down the line, 10 years down the line, when you're wondering why your roof is cooked and now you need to replace it, that's when you would realize that. And probably the builder's not coming back at year 10, even though that was definitively their fault. And so that's what buyers don't understand, is like, you're not necessarily going to see your issue come up in 1 year. It could be several years, but it still could be a very major issue that you're now going to pay for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've seen issues with foundations and things like that as well that just don't show up for a long time.
Or we've seen poor finish work on the exterior of the home in some places that are going to allow water to come in, which is going to, have rot and other things like that. So I think, I know builders don't want the inspections, but it's really in the interest of the client. And we do go through all the paperwork to make sure that the builders let us in, as frustrating as it is sometimes.
Yeah, because you guys have you even have to have special certifications with some of the builders just to be able
Yeah,
to get them to get on site.
that, insurance requirements, we generally, our background is in construction, so we usually send them our building license too, just to be like, okay, come on, like, we have done this actually, so let's just cut through this and let's get on with it.
Cool.
Now, some of the misconception is an agent think because it's a new construction, it has already been inspected by the local permitting department. What comment do you have to say about that?
They are there on drive-bys pretty quickly. And, we've seen some big misses. One of the ones I use as an example, happened a couple years ago where our inspector was doing the final inspection. So it already had a certificate of occupancy, meaning the city had signed off completely on the house.
Right.
All right. Inspector turns on the plumbing in the master bath, goes downstairs just to make sure nothing's coming out of the ceiling. And in fact, water is rushing out of the ceiling in the kitchen, meaning that the plumbing was not actually connected. So, according to the city, that house was ready to be lived in. I would probably say nobody wanted to live in it like that. So, it's not that they're bad people. It's not that they don't know what they're looking at. It's that they're not doing a full inspection. They're there to look for a few major key things, but they're not going and trying all the electrical, all the plumbing. They're not getting in the attic. So it's a very cursory drive-by is what I tell people.
Well, also, as we see some things where they don't really care about aesthetics as much. I mean, sometimes, especially the way some of the wood is these days, I've seen, you look down a wall and it's like a corkscrew in there kind of thing. So, the inspectors are looking for a lot of times structural and things like that, it can look completely jacked up. I've seen leaning walls, stuff like that an inspector would be like, hey, Hoss, this thing's messed up kind of thing.
Or even the siding's not installed properly, The city's not really going to care, unfortunately. So.
Cool. Well, is there, in anything, where would we go to, or where would our agents go? Where do we go to sign up? And then if we need an inspection, what's the process kind of thing?
Yeah, so Ally Property Inspections is our website. Two things, we do have a dedicated realtor area, just because, certain things you guys need to know as agents is a little different sometimes than your clients. You can see samples of all of our type of reports that we do. You can schedule online, your clients can schedule online. And then also we have a link so that people can see the classes that I'm teaching, and they can sign up on there. Right now, I'm pretty much still doing Zoom meetings just like you guys are now. So it's pretty easy for people to take it wherever they are. And I'm usually teaching a couple a month. At least that's kind of been the pace. And they're different subjects. I don't cover just boring home inspection stuff. I think one of my most popular classes is about building materials. And then the last hour of that class is writing repair requests. And we talk about what's a qualified contractor, versus, who can be a handyman and how to kind of navigate those kind of situations too.
Well, and a lot of our agents really love your business planning class too. You have a really great business planning class.
Thank you. That's coming up soon. I have to look at my schedule. Like I'll look at what week I'm teaching what, and then I get, ready for it again. So yeah, definitely check that out on our website because that is coming up either this month or next month.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You're
Yes,
welcome to hang out with us if
absolutely.
you'd like to. We're gonna kind of run through the rest of our backstory, and then if you want to chime in, or if you got things to do, we totally understand.
I'll hang out for a while. Thanks for having me.
All right. Okay. Sounds great. All right. Back to normal business kind of thing. So today is Martin Luther King Day, and so we wish you all a very wonderful Martin Luther King Day. I'm going to go over some interesting tidbits that I learned about Martin Luther King. Also this week on Tuesday, we have our accountability. Thursday, I'm teaching fast top dollar home sales with staging. And so if that's something that you'd like to kind of build into your listing
Presentation.
Well, presentation, but I'm a big believer that staging helps you sell homes faster for more money, the whole 9 yards. So that's why I created the classes where I like it. So please join me on Thursday, kind of thing. It's on Zoom.
Wednesday.
Thursday.
Oh, okay, I thought you said Wednesday.
Oh, maybe I said Wednesday, but it is Thursday. But you can find all of our CE classes at mx1training.com. So it is Martin Luther King Day, and I looked up and I found some. I like to look things up. I'm kind of a digger, and so some interesting facts that I didn't know, and I just wanted to share about Martin Luther King. So the first thing is that his original name was Michael, not Martin. They traveled to Germany, he and his father, and they both changed their name. So originally he was Michael King, not Martin Luther King. And so after traveling to Germany, he changed his name. He was so smart that he skipped 2 grades in high school. He skipped 9th grade and 11th grade, and he entered college at 15, Morehouse College, by the way, and where he received his bachelor's degree in sociology. And even though he is this, in my opinion, one of the greatest public speakers ever, he got a C in public speaking. So for those of us who are still struggling to do Zoom and public speaking, look, if MLK got a C in public speaking, then we
There's
definitely
hope
can.
for us.
Exactly kind of thing. So Martin Luther King, he was the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 at the age of 35, kind of thing. Also, for that Peace Prize, he donated the entire amount to the civil rights movement, every penny of it, kind of thing. He also won a Grammy and a congressional medal, and you're like, how can Martin Luther King win a Grammy? Well, he did a speech, and they made an album, and in 1971 it won a Grammy for the best spoken word album for Why I Oppose War. So he's also the only person, there's only 2 other people that have a named national holiday, and that's Columbus Day, which is still kind of going back and forth, and then President's Day, George Washington. And George Washington, the U.S. wasn't a country when he was born, and so, Christopher Columbus obviously wasn't born here. So Martin Luther King is the only true American that we have that has a named holiday after him. So just some interesting facts. I hope that you guys have a great MLK Day. Please share those too. It's really cool information to kind of share out there, kind of thing. We are going to kind of jump in here, and well, if I can find my controls, it helps. I'm running a little bit behind here. Oh, yep, sorry. So I do want to start share a little bit of information that we have. And so first of all, we started off the first week with our lowest mortgage rates ever. And then week 2, big reversal. Mortgage rates jumped last week. So, we jumped to 2.79, which was
0.14.
0.14 higher than the week before. So we are starting to see mortgage rates rise. But Alan, why are they rising? Well, I'm glad you asked. So the 10-year mortgage rates are tied to the 10-year treasury. And guess what 10-year treasury rates did this past week? So they continue to move up. So, even though you see the Fed rate, you would think the Fed rate affects mortgage rates. It is not directly tied. If you put mortgage rates and the 10-year treasury together, you'll see that they travel nearly identical, kind of thing. And so as we see 10-year treasury move, we will continue to see interest rates move, kind of thing. We also had this past week, FHA also tightened up their rules for condos and vacation spots. And this is a kind of a worrying thing for some folks who are who do a lot of VRBO rentals, to where they, like large condos in vacation spots. If there's too large of a percentage of vacation rentals, you may not be able to get financing when you sell it, or you may not be able to get financing to sell it to someone else when you're ready. So there are some folks that are a little bit worried about that kind of thing. But, one of the things that I do believe that we've helped, go through this past recession, or this current recession, is that, and the reason housing has not been an issue is because our mortgage rules really are very tight compared to where they were in 2008, kind of thing. Now, that being said, they also extended. Now, this is that the FHA extends or the relaxed pandemic lending. This just means the same standards that we've had. A lot of those standards that we've been using for this past year were terminating on January 1st or January 31st kind of thing. And so all they really did was extend what we're currently doing, which is employment verifications using different methods that the banks and the lenders are using to verify employment, as well as doing alternative appraisal methods kind of thing. And basically, we still have a lot of folks that are doing drive-by appraisals. And I know that that's a completely different issue, but they have extended those kind of things. Also, speaking of FHA, FHA or NAR, the National Association of Realtors, is really pushing. A lot of folks don't understand how the secondary mortgage market works, and so Fannie, Freddie, they buy bundled up securities, which is basically they buy bundled up loans on and they create a secondary mortgage market. And that has been a public corporation that had to get bailed out by the government. Now the government owns a big piece of it, and what they're really pushing for now is to have that become a utility, kind of like you see other public utilities. Now, whether that's really what's going to happen, something needs to happen. We need some kind of better regulatory system built in there. And I kind of like NAR's version for turning Fannie, Freddie, those secondary mortgage markets being managed by some kind of utility that has a lot more control than necessarily just free market. I am a free market guy, but I also know that sometimes that can go a little bit awry, as we saw in 2008. So our jobless claims this past week, not looking good. Actually, for the last couple of weeks, we are now back higher than we were 3 or 4 months ago, kind of thing. And so jobless claims is a concern for us moving forward. It's very easy for us in the real estate world to be like, wow, things are going great, because for us, they really are going pretty good. But the bottom line is that out there in our world, there are still unemployment rates pretty heavy right now, and we really need to see that start coming more under control than where it has been right now. We also wanted to kind of share some other information. The National Housing Survey came out again, and there was a drop in the percentage of respondents who think it is a good time to buy or sell. And so, this is one of those that is, we've seen the decline. You can see on the screen where, right when COVID was really rocking, that was a.
You see a huge drop between February and March. That was the biggest dip.
Yeah, but now we're actually down to some not great numbers on where it is. Now, the good part is we're still over 50%. This doesn't show the long-term trend. Overall, we're much better than we have been. During 08, 09, that was when it was a really bad time to buy and even a tough time to sell, kind of thing. So, overall, it looks pretty good, but right now we are starting to get into that, and a lot of that is driven by home affordability, the way prices have been going, and so that is going to start. That does have the opportunity to really start to affect us up a little bit, kind of thing. We're getting some more information about the new administration, which is going to be jumping in here this week coming up, which we're all excited about. But the Biden plan calls for an additional $25 billion in rental assistance and extending the eviction ban. Now, we've had the eviction ban, and it's been extended 3 or 4 times, but he's looking at extending it through September 30th. And I'm really glad to see personally that we're putting another $25 billion in rental assistance. This is in addition to the $25 billion that just came out. And the reason I say that is when you look at in housing, the group that is hit hardest by COVID is renters. That and the other side of that is that this $25 billion in rental assistance is not necessarily, actually, it doesn't go to the renters at all. It all gets paid directly to the landlords. So this is one of those things where it's gonna help them, but in turn it helps the landlords who are footing the bills right now for this as well, and helps get the folks back into being able to take care of themselves better. So we're kind of excited to see
how does plan roll out.
Yeah, exactly,
So,
kind of thing. So we also got some more information about the well, not more information, but there's been people talking about it's just a housing bubble, and so this is an important topic that we like to discuss with you out there. Is that as realtors, the big question we're always asked, and when you're out shopping center, whatever, you talk to folks, what's the question? How's the market? How's the market? I mean, and so that's like our big question out there. And so the other side of what's the market is that we have to be ready to have conversations about real estate. And we want to know what's really going on in terms of how to answer that question. So right now, if you watch the news and you see all this other kind of information, you're going to see people talking about, oh, housing bubble, housing bubble, housing bubble. Is there a housing bubble? And honestly, I'm here to tell you, no, there isn't a housing bubble. And what I mean by that is we have way more buyers than we have sellers. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We're making babies faster than we're building houses. The millennials, the first time buyer age right now for millennials is 33 years old, and our average millennial is 28. So for the next 4 to 5 years, our millennials are coming into the first buying age. And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys is the value of the U.S. single family housing market. And so you can see that, yes, values have been creeping up. But what I'd like you to look at is the light blue shaded area below, where that talks about, and what that is mortgage debt. And so like you can see back in 2008, where you saw values decline, equity decline, and at the same time, mortgage debt increased. A lot of Americans went out and they were, everyone was getting out second mortgages, taking money out of the whole 9 yards. You can see that right now, the amount of mortgage debt is 1/3 of what total value is. And so that means that 2/3 of the housing market is paid off, kind of thing. And so you really can't have a bubble when we're only about 1/3 of all the value in the U.S. is tied up in mortgages. And so that puts us in a really great place when you compare us now to where we were in 2008, where we had dropping equity, dropping value, and mortgage debt that actually surpassed equity. That was where we had our rough times. And so we're in really, really good shape right now and that kind of thing. So mortgage rates continue to be low. These are great talking points for us to have with our clients. So now, who's optimistic about the market? Well, there are overall about 60% of Americans are, compared to this year versus last year, how do you think the housing market's going to fare next year? And 60% are very optimistic. 60% say it's going to be better. About 1/3 say, about a quarter, about 23% say it's going to be about the same. And 17% say it's going to be worse. And you can see how that breaks down. High earners are a little bit more optimistic than, and that kind of makes sense. That our high earners are continuing to do good in this economy, that kind of stuff. So it's just a really good thing to know, because seeing some of the home buyer sentiments drop, that's always a concern for us. So I like seeing that not just high earners, but overall, the majority of folks think it's going to be good. I want to talk to you really quick, and this is one that I really want Ming to kind of address with you, and that is we're seeing a ton of new construction out there. And we're glad. We need that new construction. We need the inventory. But a lot of times agents aren't ready to, don't know the questions to ask of builders, kind of thing. And so we're going to kind of go over with you the questions that you should be asking home builders. So I'm going to let you take that away.
All right, a lot of time with new construction, sometimes when you don't read a fine print, when you first walk in the new construction home, is that they have their own stipulations. So a lot of the contracts are written for the builder by their attorney.
Yep.
So therefore it's going to favor the builder, bottom line. Okay, and some of the builders actually, and I hate to do this, but LG Homes, even if you may have buyer brokerage agreement, agents, if you're not careful when you sign in on that sheet, if your client came through their website because they were just curious and put their name on their website, guess what?
You're not
They
getting a
will
commission.
not pay you a co-op commission.
Yep.
And LG does that. Okay. In matter of fact, their commission is only 2% on top of that. Okay. And so not only that, there are others that are, you know, you want to add to that?
Well, you know, the big thing is that how is the builder that you're interested in talking to, working with, bringing your clients to, how do they handle procuring costs? Like how do they decide that you're the procuring cause for them? Because in Ming's example, you know, with LG Homes, we've had some real issues where they've claimed that the agent wasn't procuring cause. The procuring cause was the internet.
Well, actually, you guys think about it. All right, it's the seller that pays the agent, and it's the listing broker that's co-oping. At any time, the listing broker do not have to co-op.
Yep.
I mean, because here in Georgia, we're so used to co-oping, and it's never been an issue. Now, with LG, they basically said, my agreement with my listing agent is that if, you know, their client, if any client comes through our website, then those clients' agent are not eligible for a co-op.
Yeah.
So that's the bottom line on that. So is there any fee charged after contract is signed? Sometimes they make your client pay what we call change orders.
Yep.
Okay. Not only that, any upgrades, sometimes you don't get commission on the upgrades. So these are questions you need to ask when you talk to a builder.
What are the buyer incentives?
Right.
You know,
and a lot of times they'll tell you if you go with our lender, they'll get a $6,000 incentive or less. Or if they go to their own lender, there's no incentive. Okay. And the reason being for that is that a lot of the lender actually contributes some of the closing costs along with the builder. And the reason being is that if your client goes through their lender, they know for a fact those lenders going to work really darn hard and let the builder know whether or not those buyers are truly qualified versus just let the documents come in and we'll figure out what we're going to do. Understand the builder does incur expenses for construction loan. So a lot of folks, I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, don't see what they go through as well. And that's why certain things are put in place to do that. One thing I do have to warn you is that construction deposit is not earnest money, okay?
Yep.
So earnest money is a trust fund where construction deposit, a lot of time builders like to use that because guess what? Basically, when you hand the money over, it's a builder's.
Yep.
Okay.
So, but what does the contract say about earnest money? You know, how is that written? That really, really matters. That's an important question to understand. And then, you know, what exact performance is required? You know, there's some instances your buyers cannot get their earnest money back if they try and back out the deal, or if they don't use their in-house lender, then the earnest money is at risk. But do you want to find this out now, or do you want to find it out later, kind of thing?
Another caution for you guys is that when you deal with new construction, just make sure a lot of them right now are selling their home way above the appraisal value. I've seen builder basically tell the buyer, so sorry, we're going to sell to the next person.
Yep. Next thing is what specific performance is outlined in the contract as it pertains to closing date. And the reason on that is closing date for our buyers is locked in stone for most of them, but not so much from the builder side. The builders can generally extend with no
well, actually, most
impact.
of their contract for 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years from the day you sign. So if your buyers are looking at moving in and they want to get mad, they want to throw a temper tantrum, let me tell you,
we'll do it
in
good.
the contract, it says 2 years. So therefore, be prepared.
Yep. And then what does the home warranty look like? And what's the procedure for home warranty? How does that go? You know, is it for most builders, they're going to have a 1-year warranty, which is required by the state. But then it varies, and how that all works out. You want to know that up front.
And the warranty is only good as a person that gives it.
Yep.
Okay. So if you have a smaller builder, not, trying to deter from a small builder, but if the small builder decided, well, I'm going to retire and move to Florida, guess what? Good luck tracking a small builder.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Your bigger ones, they're very good about, doing their usual, because they're still continue trying to build a community here and build the houses here. So typically they're pretty safe bet. I do have to give D.R. Horton a shout out about that in Capshaw. They're pretty good about upholding their product.
and there are there restrictions on using a home inspector. How will the builder respond? We just had Meredith on, and
it varies.
It really does vary, because sometimes they require these obscure, never heard of certifications, and
This distraction.
It's a deterrent,
from,
in my opinion.
It's,
kind of
it's trying to get the home inspector not come in, and we're not expert in construction, obviously, but if there's time, like Meredith said, the foundation is not done properly. There's a way of doing concrete to where it avoided being cracked down the road or having
and we believe firmly in home inspections. It helps to protect our buyers. And I know that for a lot of agents are like, well, it's getting inspected by the county or the city, and that is true. But we are still a big proponent of home inspections for new construction. So next up, how is change orders handled? And change orders are a really big deal, because what we find is that buyers buy as much as they can, as much as they're qualified for.
Correct.
And then, but what does that change order process look like? Because a lot of times change orders, the builders may require that money up front, non-refundable kind of thing. And so, what are the additional charges?
Carefully.
Yeah, exactly.
9 out of 10, they'll charge you 50% because they know, typically most buyers don't have the money just to give a $20,000 change order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything on the lot survey other than just normal utility easements? It's also an important thing to check on, because sometimes we find where, maybe you think the backyard goes back to that fence, but guess what? It only goes back 10 feet. So there's been, all kinds of things that we found on that kind of thing. Don't believe, okay, this sounds terrible. If it's not in writing, it's not real. And so we have just so many examples that we could give you where the on-site agent said this, the on-site agent said that. And
what happened if on-site agent's not there anymore?
Well, the thing is that the on-site agent is, they don't really decide anything. Everything has to get approved by the builders and by the site people. And so to say, yeah, we'll throw that in, and then it doesn't get written up. And I can promise you everything in real estate is this way. If it's not written, it's not real. Right. And a lot of times our clients don't understand. And that's one of the biggest reasons why you need to have representation when buying a new home. A lot of times our buyers just going to go off willy-nilly kind of thing.
And a buyer told me that they negotiate everything up front with the on-site agent. And I can tell you right now, they have a lot of people giving them advice on what to do. And some of those are not good advice.
Yep. So also, we're also seeing a big kind of a new trend in building where builders are building rentals. And so I want you to think about why builders would build rentals. Builders are building rentals because the rental market really is really good right now. But it's always better off to buy than it is to rent. You're going to get so much more for your money.
If you think about from a builder perspective, a renter, if the property is rented for about 10 years, 9 out of 10, that property is paid for by then and is brand new construction.
On the good news, bad news area, Open Door has been struggling. I'm sorry.
Be nice.
It's not bad. So Open Door's portfolio shrunk by about 80% in the first 6 months of 2020, and they're having a hard time getting back market share, because in this market, would you want to sell your house for less than what it's worth?
Absolutely.
Lowest days on market, that kind of thing. So I'm glad to say that right now, there was a new study, and Open Doors CEO was interviewed, and he was like, who's your biggest competition? Is it Zillow? Is it and they're like,
It's the market.
Traditional realtors are their biggest competition, and honestly, for me, that is the best news ever, because they're fighting us and we are winning. So we got to keep that going. Let's keep rocking this thing out. So also, we've kind of seen this for years about retirement, and so retirement continues to grow in the importance of why people are moving. So people are moving for retirement more than almost they have in gosh, almost since we started collecting the data, kind of thing. So this is over 20 years of retirement moving. You can see that we are moving more when we retire. The other thing is the baby boomer generation, who is now moving into retirement, was the largest generation up until the millennials jumped in the market, kind of thing. So it is still the second largest buying group is now moving into that retirement age. And as that happens, they're moving more. And hey, Ming, what happens when you move?
Hey, I gotta sell
And buy.
and buy.
So that's a really great thing.
And I think, I don't know if COVID has contributed some of the movement, simply because there are older parents that live in outside state from their children, and they know that as they age, with the COVID pandemic, some of them are rethinking about the long distance relationship versus a closer relationship.
So we're gonna continue going down this moving trend, but where do people who want to relocate go to? So right now, Georgia is one of the fourth lowest states of where people move out of state. More people move to Georgia than move out of Georgia. That's a great thing for us. We're number 4 on the list: Texas, Michigan, Oklahoma, and then us, followed by Florida after that. Now, so 91% of Georgians are staying put. So only 9% of Georgians actually are moving out of state. But if they do move out of state, where are they going? Florida.
Florida.
So yeah. But we see that in a lot of cases. For a lot of states, it's they move state to state more than they move nationally, kind of thing. So we'll always see more people move from Georgia into Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida always. But for Georgia, it is Florida. We like to head south because it's just not hot enough for us here. So United Van Lines also came out with their migration study. And so I pulled the data up, and so this is Georgia. And so this is the primary reason for moving. About 15% are moving because moving in or out for retirement, about 5% for health, family. Nearly a quarter of the folks moving in state are moving in for family. Another 10% is around lifestyle. But the really the real biggie is job. Jobs are why people are moving in and out. But overall, we're gaining, we got 51% inbound and only 49% outbound. Now, how about the ages? What age group is the most likely? And I tell you, boy, it runs the gamut. There isn't one big age group, because we got about 25%.
Yeah. Look at your millennials and your baby boomer are the one that are moving in back in here in Georgia.
Yeah.
So they're the 2 largest buying sector.
Yep. And how much money do they make, kind of thing? So, the biggest group, both in and out, are folks who are making over $150,000. And why that's important to us is if you're making more than $150,000, can you afford to buy a house? Yes, you can afford to buy a house. And so that's really, really good news on that kind of thing. So also, 1 in 3 Americans is open to moving if they can work remotely, but there's a real catch to that right now. So 2/3 of Americans, if they can relocate, they will. And about 1/3 of those already have in the past year, kind of thing. Around 1,400 people in 32 major markets bought or sold a home in the last 12 months and plan on doing so again.
The next 12 months.
Yeah. Yep. So for the folks who are relocating, kind of thing, nearly 9 in 10 of those are moving less than 50 miles away. And so, we are still seeing the migration from the cities, kind of thing, into the rural areas because of affordability, kind of thing. But when we talk about people moving out, they're not moving out of Georgia. they're moving out of Atlanta or moving out of Sandy Springs kind of thing. And so, you know, the folks who are most likely to move are higher earners. Folks that make more than $150,000 are the most likely group to move. And honestly, it's a great group for us to be working with, kind of thing. Right now, Americans are about 41% of the workplace is doing remote work. And of that 41%, what, 70 something?
About 72 expect that to work remotely and at their home. Is
like not stopping. It's continuing all the way through, kind of thing. So, you know, remote work is going to be here for a while. I just because, you know, we're very optimistic and hopeful that the vaccines kick in and, you know, as the rollouts continue to happen, that we'll see, you know, less COVID and that kind of thing. That being said, it looks like remote work is pretty popular. It's here to stay. We don't see it going anywhere anytime soon.
When remote work first started, I do know that a lot of the business, it felt more to productivity, and now it seems like it has tapered out. So it'd be interesting to see what that consists of. And you guys do know a lot of business right now are tracking the computer their employer on, see how many hours are spending here and there and how many hours are they idling and stuff like that. So it is a little invasion of privacy, but how are you going to measure productivity?
Well, you know, that's the thing. I do believe that going back to the office is going to be happening more and more, but there's a certain percentage in certain industries where I think, you know, teleworking is going to be kind of how it moves forward.
Oh yeah.
So I hope today was helpful. We hope that you took a lot from it. We appreciate you. We love you. If we can be of any service, please call, text, or smoke signals. We answer it all.
Thank you and have a great Monday.
Bye.